Welcome back for another video. In this one we're going to look at who the best players to buy are for the final 3 game weeks. Let's get straight into it. As always, we'll start off with the goalkeepers, and some important news to add here. Ortega tops the GW36 keepers table with 4.5 points. Ederson was taken off injured in City's win over Nottingham Forest last match, and he was seen leaving the stadium with his arm in a sling. Ortega was looking like the perfect neighbour for the run-in, but it's since been reported that Ederson will return to training in the next few days, and tests have shown there's no injury to the keeper. So unfortunately that rules Ortega out as a sensible transfer this week. The only niche scenario where it could be worth it is if Ederson's definitely out for Game Week 36, plus you're not bench boosting in Game Week 37 and need a better keeper for this week. Arsenal have kept 5 clean sheets in the last 6 game weeks, Raya second on the table with 4.2 points. What's interesting is how little separates Raya to the double game week keepers. Vicari doesn't quite make the table this week given that Spurs face Liverpool. Vicari is projected 13.6 points for the final 3, which is top, and Nana 12.6 and then Raya 12.4. The latest Newcastle news on Pope was April 26th, where Hal said, quote, "Nick's beginning to start his early training sessions with us. He has started to be with the outfield players on shooting drills." So it seems like it could go down to the wire in terms of whether Dubravka gets double game week 37 or not, but he's definitely a transfer to avoid for that reason, as is Pope, whose return date's still not set in stone. If you need a keeper for 1 week because you're not bench boosting in 37, plus if Ortega's a doubt for starting this weekend, then sells this 4.5 mil and he's got Sheffield United. They've actually been a bit unlucky recently. Over the last 6 matches, they're 5th best in the league for expected goals conceded, with 6.54 XGC. If you're an Ederson owner like myself, it's probably not worth selling him even if he's a doubt for 36 and expected back in 37. It's not an ideal scenario, but the alternatives aren't great anyway. Petrovic has got West Ham, and Nana's away at Palace, Vicari's away at Liverpool. Again, maybe in a niche scenario where you've got 2 free transfers and absolutely nowhere to spend them, you could switch to Raya and then switch straight back, but it's not worth it with only 1 free transfer. Game Week 35 was a reminder that you never know when unexpected injuries can force your hand. We saw 8 Norrie, Cher, Van Heck, Gusto and some others all injured over the last week, and that's just defenders. Let's move on to defenders. Given the home game for Arsenal, it's Gabriel, Saliba and White as the top 3. Despite having 1 less fixture, again looking in the next 3 column, they're expected to fare similar to the doublers. In Game Week 37 they're away to Man United, in Game Week 36 they're home to Everton, who will have all but sealed survival and little to play for by then. For the final 3 game weeks, only Gabriel and Pedro Porro have got higher projected points than Trent, another under the radar pick despite no doubles, albeit he's 8.4 mil and not easy for most of us to get to. Doubt he makes the table with Luton home to Everton. I'd avoid him though because Luton are pretty bare bones right now despite the home fixture. So who are the best Man City defenders for the final 3? If I was to rank them in order, I'd say Vardiel, Walker, Ruben Diaz and Akanji in that order. Vardiel's really grown into the season and into the City team. He had no attacking returns in the league for the first 32 game weeks and he's got 3 since. He scored a world in the Champions League not too long ago as well. Only 5 mil as well, so he's my favourite of the bunch, and his 15 pointer in Game Week 35 was his biggest score of the entire season. Those of us that went for Ederson instead feeling the pain of that decision. City defence is always tricky because no defenders are completely nailed, while Ederson is, but if you're willing to take the risk on Vardiel or Walker, the upside's clearly there given their attacking returns in recent weeks, so well played if you took the chance on. Porro's got the highest projected points among all defenders in Game Week 37. So if your starting 11 is solid this week and you need a transfer for the bench, he's worth picking up. Cher and Burn are 2nd and 3rd for Game Week 37. They don't make the table this week, but perfectly fine moves given that they face Burnley. The latest on Cher is, quote, "Fabian had a bit of tightness in his hamstring. We don't think it's a big injury. There's not one moment where you think he's pulled his hamstring, but it was enough to make him feel uncomfortable. He couldn't fully sprint, so he had to come off." Reflecting back on the season for a moment, we've seen a record number of goals scored, which is perhaps in part due to the new rule introduced, where extra stoppage times added to reflect actual stoppages. So there's been fewer clean sheets as well. A bit of a learning process with the rule change, and it makes me think that bigger the back is dead in FPL. Gone are the days where we used to line up with Robertson, Trent, Cancelo and James as a back 4. Loading money into midfielders and forwards next season seems like the way to go. That said, if Trent gets a price reduction for 24-25, he'll be very tempting. So who are the best midfielders to buy? The next 3 column are a lot more important for the midfielders as you're much less likely to bench them. And it's all about who's going to get us the most points for these final 3 weeks. Saka tops the Game Week 36 table with 7.1 points. As far as the final 3 game weeks, Son, Foden and Palmer have got high projections. Son's the only one of those four not to make the table this week, given they're away at Anfield. He's projected 4.4 points, which isn't terrible, perfectly fine to start him in your team if you need to. De Bruyne having lower projected points for the final three than Saka looks a bit odd, given that City have got the double game week 37 to come. 18 points versus 19.5 for Saka. However, KDB's predicted minutes are much lower, with the expectation that he could come off the bench for one game. There's still every chance that he starts them all, and he certainly could outscore Saka, and there's not much to separate them. Predicting player minutes is one of the hardest skills in FPL. In Saka's case, it's obviously very easy. He starts every game and he often plays the full 90. So in terms of predicting Salah, he should be in line for a start after the bench in last match. A very risky sell this week in my opinion, given he's got the rest, despite the lack of returns recently. Over the last 6 games he's played, he's still got an expected goal involvement every 116 minutes, which is better than De Bruyne, Son and Saka, etc. For many wildcarders, there's some tough bench decisions to make this week. Son, Gordon or Jackson. Gordon is playing away, he does have a far better record in home games, but Son's at Anfield and Jackson's been very unpredictable. At the moment I've got Jackson on the bench. And lastly, Foden should be fit to start the next match after missing game week 36 with illness. If you can afford him, he's a very good transfer this week. Another under the radar option is Richarlison. It's just been reported this morning that Davies and Werner are out for the season for Spurs, so probably going to see Emerson playing left back now and Richarlison as striker. Let's move on to the forwards. And interestingly, Jackson's joint second on the table with 5.2 points. Wood and Isak also on 5.2. Chelsea against West Ham. West Ham still in with a fighting chance of European football next season, so it's not going to be an easy game. Haaland tops the forwards table, and he's top across all positions with 7.5 projected points. And then it's Saka, Palmer, then Salah. He was benched against Forest, and he scored a well-taken goal after coming off for the final half hour. If you've not got Haaland in your team, then I tried to find a way to accommodate him this week or next. In game week 37, Haaland and Son are the joint top players across all positions for projected points. For the final 3 overall, Haaland's 26 projected points is comfortably highest. There's not much selection to choose from in terms of double game week 37 forwards. Werner's a no-go. Jackson's a very unpredictable player, as we said he's got poor finishing. João Pedro is definitely a cheap option, but he's not guaranteed to start both. Højlund's not a bad shout, albeit he faces Arsenal and Newcastle, and he does have just 1 goal in his last 6 games. Looking at the final 3 projected points, it's evident that Isak and Haaland are the best 2 to have. And Nkunku is back in training. If you're a Chelsea fan, let us know in the comments if Jackson's safe for minutes. I'm wondering if there is a chance that we see Palmer or Nkunku lead the line for 1 game, which has happened before. I'm currently lined up with a front 3 of Jackson, Isak and Haaland myself, and I'll probably stick with them for the remainder. The goal for the run-in is to have 2 free transfers in game week 38 to react to any potential injuries or early team news. The last thing you want is to take a -4 in game week 38 with only 1 week for it to be repaid. As we approach the final stretch, some teams have got everything to play for still, while others have already wrapped up their seasons. This can equate as a drop-off in performance levels, and also some managers rotating peripheral players into the team. There's a lot of players in every squad that train with the first team for the entire season and never get a sniff of actual minutes on the pitch, so this is when the manager can give them some game time as a thank you. The good news is Man City still have it all to play for, and they've got the first kick-off in game week 37, so we should get some early team news of some sort. Thanks very much for watching. If this was helpful, don't forget to drop it a like before you go, and make sure you're subscribing. See you soon for the next one.